welcome to show number 7, featuring Donavan Kretschmer from Trident Sports. I'd just like to thank KD Resources, Kismet Diamonds, and Stapura, and all the rest of my sponsors for always backing the show. Welcome, Donovan. How you doing?
Thank you very much, Ronaldo. Thanks for having me.
How's life going? How's the life of a sports agent?
Well, it's organized chaos.
Yeah.
Definitely one way to put it. Obviously, love what I do, love it, but a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of early mornings, a lot of late nights, bit of the wife chatting in the background that she never sees me. But no, thankfully everything's good. We're in a pretty good space.
Awesome. So what got you into becoming a sports agent, especially a cricket agent?
Yeah, so obviously, as I think with most people, if I start at the beginning, it's a passion for playing it.
Yeah.
Enjoyed playing it. As a youngster, managed to play a bit on the provincial side, got colours, went to university. Always just loved cricket. Like it's playing it, scoring, umpiring, watching it, just every aspect of cricket I kind of fell in love with. And while I was at university, tried to crack it there, but still loved it. Got into the whole what an agent is. I had one. And through that, kind of just learned the ins and outs of it. Big fan of American sport, and there's obviously the agents play a massive role there. And with this whole thing, got to kind of experience what the management side was, what it entailed, what goes right, what goes right, what goes wrong.
Yeah.
And went over to England, played there, and while I was there, kind of made the decision that I want to come back and I want to pursue this. It's quite a strict process to become one.
Okay.
And when I came back, kind of explored it, and 2015 started it and haven't looked back since.
Yeah, that's awesome. So to become an agent, do you have to go through CSA or all the avenues?
Yes, so you go through CSA and SACA
Okay.
in South Africa. So it's an exam that you write. So first it's an assignment you have to do. So you apply for accreditation, get provisional. As I said, it's quite a strict process. I think when it started, it was a little bit less so. But now you have to have a degree, and there's different aspects like that. So you have to, be a qualified person, and then through that you apply, you get provisional accreditation, then you do an assignment, and then after the assignment you write an exam, and then after that then you get your accreditation number, and then you can actually go out and sign players. But it's through SACA specifically.
Oh, that's awesome. So tell me, any other sports that any other players you represent? Is it just cricket?
No, so we actually started with rugby.
Okay.
Obviously when I started it, the idea was also always to do cricket.
Yeah.
But because I partnered with a company that was in rugby, we kind of specialize in the rugby, represent quite a lot of the Springboks.
Which ones?
So Marco van Staden, Jason Jenkins, Archie Snyman, Bongu Benambi, Elton Yankees.
Sure.
So we've represented a lot of the box, and that's kind of it got my footing in. It's also a very tough environment. Being a rugby agent it's like being a soccer agent. It's rough.
Bad.
And but I always,
in what aspects?
No, it's just that there's a lot of agents. There's like 80.
80.
And 80.
Just in rugby.
Just in rugby.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's the most finicky, like the arguments you have, and whereas rugby's obviously a very professional environment, but it's difficult to be friends with another player because the agent feels very threatened very quickly. And it's not a knock on them. I think a lot of the agents have had bad experiences, and I mean we experienced it ourselves. Whereas with cricket, it's a very friendly environment. I'm friends with a lot of the guys I played with, and I couldn't care less if the agent doesn't like me. The fact is, I'm friends with the guy. I've got zero interest in stealing him. We kind of started that way.
Stealing him.
Yeah, that's what we call it, poaching.
Not stealing. Okay,
stealing.
Cool. Yeah.
So we started with the rugby, and it was a good learning experience for me. I got to work with the higher ups very quickly, and as I said, the cricket's a very inviting environment, whereas rugby is it feels a lot more corporate.
Okay.
So it was a bit of a learning experience, but then I always had the love for cricket. On the side, it was always, I want to get in this. I want to do the cricket. So I was fortunate enough. I was very good friends with Sisanda Magala at school.
Okay.
And CC kind of shot through the ranks kind of when I was starting this whole thing. So I learned a lot from him. I spoke to him a lot. Just kind of explained the intricacies of it. And basically signed my first player in 2016, Sean Jameson.
Oh, JMO, yeah?
Yeah. And then, kind of from there, it's been, I want to say, smooth sailing ever since. There's obviously some tough ones, but it's been pretty good.
And who's your big signings that you got, cricket-wise?
So, cricket-wise, obviously, Anrich Nortje is probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
He's been with us basically from the start, so end of 2016.
Yeah.
So, Anrich, Sisanda Magala, George Linder, Tony DeZorzi, Carl Verena, obviously Connor, who you've got a good relationship with.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, we represent 24 different cricketers. We have Annika Bosch as well, Masabata Klaas on the ladies' side. So we represent some pretty decent players.
Some good, decent players. I need to
Yeah.
get a woman involved in one of these. Can you organize for me?
Listen,
You
I'll
gotta
chat to
organise
Annika. She can, if she can move a ball.
Yeah, but can she speak?
She
Not
can
about
speak.
moving the ball, but can she speak?
If you want to speak one, I'll give you Robin Searle rather. She's made for camera.
Okay, that's what you need. We need one of those. I wanted to ask you, between rugby players and cricket players, contract-wise, is there a big difference at the top level?
At the top level, cricket probably supersedes anything.
Really?
If you're talking about domestically, the rugby's on another level.
Yeah.
Obviously in cricket, we're sitting with our max contract domestically of around 1.3 million, where with rugby, you sign contracts of 4.5. I mean, Damien's got a 5 million
Is it
rand
because
contract.
of lifespan or what?
It's, I think, largely so, and also commercial value. The
Yeah.
rugby sells. Obviously, it always comes back to what the Boks have done, and it's a sport that sells. So domestically, you have a lot of big contracts, and also rugby allows you to be contracted domestically as well as a national contract.
Okay.
Where cricket, if you have a national contract, you don't have a domestic contract.
Yeah.
So domestically, definitely the rugby players make more. But if you're on the upper end,
Yeah.
I mean, a guy like, for argument's sake, Unrich or Faf or AB, these
Yeah.
guys, David Miller, these
They're
guys
making big bombs,
are right. They're
Yeah.
making proper money.
Yeah, because it's bums on seats. So rugby domestically, there's always people watching.
Exactly. So there's always, as you said, bums on seats. Where internationally, when
Mm.
these guys are playing in the leagues, it's so popular, there's so many people that
Yeah.
the money's really good.
Like IPL.
Like
Nothing's
IPL.
bigger than IPL.
Nothing's bigger than IPL.
Especially your cash-in check there.
No, listen, it's no, we obviously enjoy it,
Yeah.
and I think we've done a fair number of them now already,
Yeah.
and I think for the player themselves, it's kind of become, playing for the national team's always going to be epitome, but in terms of making money from your
Mm.
career, the moment you're in there and you have one good season, you're pretty looked after for the next
Yeah.
5. So yeah, that is probably the biggest cash cow in there.
And I see we got a bit of good news with Connor. We won't say what it is.
Yeah,
It's almost there.
no,
Huh?
it's almost there.
So we're
it's
working
coming.
hard there with
No,
Connor.
it's coming. It's gonna
So
come.
tell me your cricket career. What did you play provincially? Anything
Yeah,
there?
so played at school.
Only school, huh?
Yeah, I played provincially at school. Then went to the University of Free State, and I played there. I was involved with the Free State setup. Did have a couple of good knocks, especially varsity-wise.
Yeah.
But the step up, I mean, at that time you had guys like Ryan McLaren, Reza Hendricks, these kind of, John Kluter was just
Yeah.
making his name. The Knights were quite strong when we were there, but it was good. You got to learn from these guys a lot. Riley
Yeah.
was still there. So I got to learn from them a lot, but wasn't able to really kick on there.
Yeah.
But it was a good learning experience just to see what it takes to actually be a professional athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got this misconception coming out of school, I'm talented, I can definitely do this. Listen,
There's
it's
lots
the
of guys that are talented.
dedication
Hmm?
that comes to make it. And I mean, Riley was a perfect example of it. He's had such a fantastic work ethic. And he was one of the first guys in, last guys out. So I got to witness these guys kind of operate. And I used that philosophy going into being an agent.
Yeah.
I pride myself on the high performance aspect of it, trying to bring the best out of the player. It's easier to represent a guy that's a good cricketer, but it's
Yeah.
trying to bring the best out of them. And I got to see that, so I try and instill that in my players as well and say, look, you always need to give that extra 20%. But yeah, in terms of playing, I thought I was pretty decent.
Yeah.
Still
You
play
thought-
club cricket, still love it.
Where do you play?
At Villages, Irene Villages. Yeah.
First team, second team, third
No,
team?
no, playing fourth now.
Fourth.
Yeah,
Jeez,
no,
that's
listen,
proper, eh?
I'm Carson Vane now.
Yeah, okay. And what else was I was going to ask you about? Did you go when your players go overseas? Do you go with them?
So I do. I try and go.
Yeah.
So I've got a philosophy normally that if I do 3 deals in a specific league,
Yeah.
then I try and go over as well. So I have been a couple of times. I haven't been to the IPL
Yeah, I
yet.
was going to ask you that.
I have been invited for the
Yeah.
last 3 years to come. I mean, I just have to get there.
Yeah.
But it always falls over quite a busy time, especially with our domestic contracting ends at the end
Yeah,
of
yeah.
April. And I mean, these guys fly over in March, and it's chaos until the end of April.
And you sort out the domestic contracts as well.
Do the domestic contracts as well, yeah. Domestic contracts, national contracts, leagues,
Yeah.
everything. I mean, if the guy wants to buy a ring for his soon-to-be fiance, they speak to me first.
She's Connor, you're under pressure there, boss.
There we go.
Huh?
We've had this chat.
Mitchell's sister there.
Yeah, no, we're gonna need to have a chat about that at
Yeah.
some point.
So where's the best place you've been on? Which the CPL? Where have you been?
So
what's that one? Caribbean Premier League.
yeah, Caribbean Premier League. Obviously, the Caribbean's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. I've got a soft spot for the UK.
Yeah.
Obviously, I lived there for a while. I played there, so I've got a soft spot there. It's definitely a place that I would want to go back to, and I plan on going back there next year. But I'd probably say the Caribbean would be number one.
Yeah. Have you been there?
I have been there, yes.
And how's the experience?
No, it's fantastic. It's such a relaxed atmosphere, environment. I mean, funny enough, my rule of three, I've done 3 deals in the CPL this year, so I should actually be going. But no, I'd probably say that's been the best experience. We have been to quite a few. So I've watched cricket in a lot of different countries, not necessarily just the leagues. Like I've watched cricket in Amsterdam or in the Netherlands. I've watched cricket in Belgium. I've seen cricket in France. So
France, sure.
Yeah, I mean it's an experience, and a lot of it's very semi-professional. So it's an amateur environment, but it's still
semi-pro, is it? It's very amateur.
It's amateur. I'll say semi-pro, but it's amateur.
I've seen those European leagues. Sure.
No, listen, I think one that I'd still like to go to is that Everest League in Nepal, purely because the atmosphere, the backdrop is...
The Himalayas tournament, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, it's called the Himalayas T20 or something.
It's insane. It looks
I
phenomenal.
get invites for that all the time.
No, listen, I don't want to say anything about the corruption in it, but I think just to actually watch the cricket...
There's a lot of corruption in there.
No, listen, there's a lot of corruption in a lot of the leagues. No, there's especially your smaller leagues. There's, guys fronted for pocketing money and putting money around the back. But no, it's... I want to. My dream's always been, especially now with the MLC coming up.
Are you involved in that?
I am. So I've got quite a few players going over for that.
Connor?
No, unfortunately, it's...
I'm going to put you on the spot, yeah.
No, you can. You're allowed to put me under pressure. It's fine. But the caliber of players that go over, it's rough. So it's some of... We're talking IPL level here. We're talking guys that...
Big money.
It's big money. Still not as big as obviously some of the other leagues, but we're talking. I think it's 150 or 175 is the top tier.
Yeah.
And then it basically runs down to around 30 for your overseas players, and then you can have 7 to 8 overseas, and then obviously the rest are local.
There's no auction base, eh?
No, there's no auction. It's direct signings, and then the locals are draft based.
Sure. And any good locals, eh?
Yeah, so the locals, the really good locals, they are guys that are expats that move there. So it's, your Corey Anderson. Andries Gous was very popular
Rusty
there.
Turan's there.
Rusty's there.
Shadley
from Skalkvik's there. It's basically, Justin Dill got a lot of, David White. They get a lot of love in these because, they're locals.
Yeah.
So they definitely, and there's a lot of guys. There's guys from Sri Lanka, guys from India, guys from the West Indies. That all move there, and they kind of the crop of youngsters. But I think what's nice is they've invested a lot of money, the US cricket. They've really invested a lot of money, and it's nice to see the way they're doing it, because the one thing America can do is put on a spectacle with sport.
Sure. I see they built one stadium, one or only one.
They've only built one, but it's the first. So a lot of the stadiums they just converted.
Yeah.
But this one in Dallas is the first one they've built.
Okay.
And they're doing it proper. The technology. I'm speaking under correction with the figures, but I think they spent something just north of $750,000 per pitch. Dollars.
Sure.
It's state of the art. The technology under it, the drying systems, the wetting systems. It's really they can basically set whatever pitch they want.
Yeah, they can set space there as well.
Yeah, and they can set a Pakistani dirt ball on that if they want to. Spin friendly. But they've done a good job. It's been good to see. I think they've brought in, similar to what the SA20 did, and I think that's something we can touch on as well. But they brought in smart people to kind of work on this whole thing. And it's these guys that they've been through it, they've experienced it, that are putting this whole thing together.
What is your thoughts on the Indians taking over all this? So I know the Indian franchises have taken over SA. They've taken over
the
MLC, Caribbean Premier League.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea. That's where the money is.
I agree.
For the players.
And the fact is, India have proven that they put a better spectacle together than most national bodies. If we take the exception out of our big three, of which India is one of them, they know how to put a cricket performance together. And
bums on seats,
Bums on seats, and there's never issues with players getting paid.
Yeah.
The contracts are sound. Players are protected as well as the franchise being protected. It's a very, as much as we can say they get all the benefit. I mean, the players are getting paid life-changing sums of money.
For sure.
And if you put a good product out there, the player, you looked after.
Yeah.
You know, they regard these guys almost as gods. So it's the fact that they're taking over, it's a better product overall.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still being a cricket purist. I still want national cricket. I'll always want international cricket. That's
Test cricket.
I want Test cricket. I love
Watch
it.
what happened. It was a great Test match.
Exactly. I mean, I love it. And I think the way that cricket's changing, I don't think that we're losing any of that.
No.
But the fact that we have all these leagues just means players are able to make good incomes for their families. It means they're looked after. They don't have to resort to something else when they're retired, which means they can still be part of cricket.
Yeah.
You know, Maury, for example, he made a good money playing cricket. Now he commentates.
Yeah, he's retired now.
Yeah, he's retired now, but he still gets to be involved. He doesn't have to now go sell insurance or sell bras or something like that.
Sell bras. Weber Bry. Did
Sell
Chow
a
Weber
Weber.
Bry. I hope he watches this. I'm going to send it to him.
Yeah, we must do something. But no, I think overall it's been good for us that they've run it, and I think overall it's good for the players.
That's awesome. So SAT20, we were going to chat about that. What do you think about that one?
Well, I thought it was fantastic.
This year's one.
Yeah.
Last year, sorry.
No, yeah.
How's the process there?
In
To
what
get your
way?
players in.
So
the people know what the process is of the agent.
No, so basically what it is we'll register the player. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
We'll register the player, we'll put them in a specific skill set, and then we'll get to work with talking to the teams. Now, obviously, a lot
the
of
coaches or the managers talk to you?
No, so fortunately in our position, having dealt with all the IPL teams, we usually speak to upper management. So we'll either speak to the owner or we'll speak to a DOC or the general manager. So a lot of the teams have cricket ops. So we call them your cricket operations.
Yeah.
And most teams have a cricket ops where you will then talk to a member of the cricket ops. So it'll either be an analyst, because a lot of the time you'll speak to someone that is obviously high up in cricket ops, but they always refer to the analyst, especially when it's a league they're not particularly involved with. When I say involved, like they don't necessarily know all the players.
Okay.
So they'll rely a lot on the analyst. So we'll register and then we'll get to talking to them. So it'll basically with how I approach it is you always start with the guy at the top. So more often than not, the guys will be inquiring about one of 3 players of ours at the top. You'll start there and then you'll kind of build the team with them. Okay, this is what we're looking for, a spinner that will be good in these conditions. Okay, these are the guys I have. This is my opinion. I'll sell all of my guys, but the way we do it is we don't sell players with the same skill sets. Just because we've got 3 right-arm fast bowlers does not mean they're the same bowler. Yeah. And similarly with the wicket keeper, we've got 3 wicket keepers, but they don't bat in the same position. They don't bat the same style. I mean, comparing Connor and Carl's, it's two different players. So we'll get to talking. We'll kind of say, this is what we have. This is what skill set I think would suit you well. Then they'll, but now we're looking for this. Okay, this is who I have this. Or I am very close with a couple of the teams. So what I'll do is, in this case, we'll also advise, but maybe this player, not one of our players, it's a player from a different agent. Or it might just be someone that does his own thing. Maybe have a look at him. Go look for footage. I think this guy's got what you want. If they say, we want someone that's really good bowling, but specifically someone that bowls 16 to 18. Okay, this is the guy that I watched in our domestic competition. Have a look at him. Yeah. So it'll kind of be, and then from there, because we have an auction, then basically we'll have these conversations, and then from there, it'll kind of scale. So we had Junior Dollar wasn't with me last year yet, so I couldn't use him as an example. But I mean, the smallest deal we did last year was 1.7 million. So we were in a very good position where our players were very sought after.
That's awesome.
And going into this next auction, we probably got one of the highest paid again, because one of our players I know everyone wants him. So there's going to be Bayer Schwanapul. We're fortunate that we've got Bayer Schwanapul, Tony Dezorzi, Chepo Mareki, all of them going into this auction now. And they're all sought after. You know, we've got Connor, who the conversations have been phenomenal on.
Yeah, I hope he gets a gig this year.
No, listen, I can make a promise to the people that it'll happen. He's just not going to be a rookie. Hell no.
No. He must be a player.
No, he's going to be a player. So, no, fortunately, the league last year was such a resounding success. I mean, we spoke about trying to break even in 3 years. They broke even in the first year. They made a profit. You know, it means the league was put together well. And I think what CSA, as well as, I forget what the company's called that owns the rights to SA20, that Graham and them. I
I
can't
think it's
remember.
Tata, yeah.
I can't remember. But that company, what they did well and what CSA did well is they let the guys from the IPL kind of take charge.
Yeah.
You know, we set the parameters. We said this is the product we want to do together. And we're willing to work with you guys to put the best product out. And I think that's what they did really well. The product was fantastic. I mean, we had, I think, 7 or 8 sold out games. We had an average of 83 or 84% ticket sales. It brought back that passion. And
Yeah.
I mean, I
The love
stayed.
of cricket.
I watched almost every single game. I didn't miss a game at Pretoria at
Yeah.
Centurion. I watched 3/4 of them at Wanderers. I travelled to 1 or 2 of the games. It was amazing. So hopefully we can do that again this year.
Yeah,
Next
I'm
year.
sure it will be bigger this year.
I think it will be.
So you see out there, guys, he does do a bit of work, homework, eh? You do a lot of work, eh?
A lot
Behind
of
the scenes,
homework. A lot of homework, and it's analytics.
Yeah,
These guys, Moneyball has kind of taken over. So,
great movie.
oh, listen, I think I need to
Huh?
watch that again.
Show Me the Money is the other one, eh?
There we go. Oh, that Jerry Maguire, Show Me the
You
Money.
love that
That's,
one, eh?
yeah, that kind of got me into this whole thing. So, but
I
no,
can see you're very passionate about this. It's good.
yeah,
And we need people out there to know what agents are all about.
yeah,
So I manage the players, but your agent's completely different.
yeah,
I don't
and
see
it's-
that aspect of the game. Like
Yeah,
coaches phone me from these different places. They phone me directly to see what players I'm managing. Then I refer them to you.
yeah. So that's
So we
what
need this. I think we need the synergy between
Yeah,
the
and
two.
it's good to have people like you, especially because I think a lot of times we forget that
Mm.
it's not a player, it's a person.
Correct.
So just understanding the person, and that's what coaches and managers and that it's so key for what we do.
Yeah.
Is to have this relationship and that trust to go back and forth and always like, okay, but you know, he's a really good player. What sets him apart? What's his character like? Okay,
Yeah.
great. Okay, but maybe he needs a bit of nurturing. He's had tough upbringing or needs a little bit of nurturing, or it's a tough guy that just needs a little bit of guidance. It's good. It's difficult when you just pick up a player out.
Yeah.
And that's why we don't do that. I don't look at, I can't sign someone on a name. It doesn't matter if you've played for the Proteas, if you are the biggest star in the world, your character and what I see.
Yeah.
It's that the eye test. Connor is someone that I always come back to. I remember I was sitting at Wanderers and he was in a net session and he was busy batting against, it was Malusi Saboto, Claudio Bukako, Luto, Sisanda.
Let me guess, smashing them. all
And I remember, I can't remember, I think it was Clyde bowled and he just played one across him like, and it just looked like he had all the time in the world. And then you know, like, this guy's got something. There's that eye test of, okay, this is something that I think it can be refined, but this is something that's special.
And how did you get him? Just tell the people out there.
Spoke to him,
And
then
then?
phoned you.
Okay.
Then we set up the meeting for coffee.
Yeah.
And I remember we obviously had the conversation of what it is that we can bring to the table, but also I know you care about him a lot, and there's kind of just making sure it's not someone that's going to screw him over.
Correct.
So I think till now we haven't.
No, you've done a
Hopefully-
good job, actually.
Hopefully
What
it
you've
stays
done.
that way. No,
And I'm going to
thank
give you a lot more players.
I won't complain
So let me
about
put you
that.
not on the spot here, but have you had any interesting, funny moments with any of the players? Have they told you any funny moments on tours and stuff?
Listen, there's too many
No,
actually.
come. Tell us some.
I
Tell us
think-
something about Nokia. I
Uh,
don't personally know the guy.
Anas is salt of the earth.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think there's a bad story I have about him, and he's the person I've known outside of Sisanda probably the longest. No, he's honestly, there's nothing. He's a really cool dude. He's got this persona on the field of this tough guy, and he's a flippin' softy, man.
And with that
He's-
terrible moustache.
Yeah.
Jesus, terrible.
And he shaved it. I can't. No, listen. I love his wife to bits. I think Michaela's probably. I call her the original wag.
Okay.
Because she's been there from the start.
Oh, awesome.
But I told her that when she made him shave it off, I almost wanted to divorce her. I was like, I can't believe you just did
No,
that.
that's a terrible moustache.
It was terrible, but
No, it's
yes, he
terrible.
had brought back like those Merv Hughes days.
He can
David
bowl.
Boone. No, listen, he's a really good oak, and he's one of the few of my players that actually enjoys having a pint.
Okay.
I've got a lot of players that don't touch the stuff,
Oh, that's good.
and for me, it's always been and I've got nothing against, but for me, it's always I've had a good bonding experience of just having a beer and just talking crap. That's kind of what it is. We can't just go into everything and be like, okay, this is business.
No,
We can't.
you
This has
gotta
to
have
be
a friendship.
personal.
Mm.
And he's obviously a really, really good oak. He knows what he wants, and he's not shy to tell you to Golf.
Mhm.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
But he's
That's why it's called unscripted.
yeah, no, he's a
Yeah.
really good oak.
Typical bowler.
And, yeah, typical bowler.
Correct.
Tough guy, but I mean, cricket doesn't define him. And that's something that we always try and find is you need to have an identity.
Get him on this show.
Oh,
Bring him when
listen,
he's in Joburg. Must come on. I've never met the guy.
He's made for talking. No, he enjoys it.
Speak to him.
No, and I think like for instance, George Linder's actually another one that he only came over to us recently, but it's
Good
been
player.
it's the fact from when he got to us. I mean, it's a God blessing actually. It's kind of just gone like this. Everything that we've
Yeah.
done since he's another one that I can sit around having a beer with and just talking nonsense and but these guys are all such pure softies. Like there's
Really?
no I don't know.
There's no hard asses there.
No hard asses. No.
That makes your job easy.
Listen, I think the hardest
Who's the most difficult one?
for me, I'd actually probably say Josh van Heerden.
Who's that?
He was at Border last year. He's moved to the Titans now, but the kid's a phenomenal talent. He's
Not Junior Dollar. Eh?
no, Junior's a breeze. Me and
He's my
Junior
personal
play.
friend of mine.
No, me and Junior play paddle like every
Oh,
week.
okay.
We're playing today.
Oh, give him a hiding. Tell him ourselves.
No, well, most definitely. No, honestly, we don't have. We've got guys that know exactly what they want, and that is Unrich is probably very high up on the list. A lot of our players, because of the relationship we have, they rely on us a lot. They don't. Yes, they make their own decisions, but it's kind of I don't make a decision without you, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I don't make a decision without you. So a lot of it's cohesive. I think Josh, and we're gonna see this year. I can mark my words. This kid's special. He's gonna make
better bowler. What?
batter,
Yeah.
top order. He last year, I think, averaged 264 in the list A comp, in Div 2.
That's quite good.
400.
Sure.
No, the kid's special. So I think he's actually flying to Germany today to play for the German national team.
Must be
yeah.
interesting cricket. There.
No, very interesting. I told the guys, listen, I told it to Tristan Stubbs a couple of years ago, go play as much associate cricket as you can because
Yeah.
it just counts as games for you.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, he's definitely hard off. He's got one way of doing things, and you need to make sure you
That's-
buy
that's
into
his
the way
way.
he does it. A lot of the others are very similar to Connor, where it's just
Okay.
a good conversation, and
Awesome guy.
yeah, and I mean Corbin's another one. He's very
And
re-
we used
rich.
to, me and my brother used to play with his dad.
Oh,
Tertius
lovely. No, listen, I love the Bosch brothers
Mm.
to bits, both of them. Obviously, Corbin I've represented for the last 5-6 years.
Awesome.
I mean, Ethan was I think just out of school when
Yeah.
I signed his brother. So it's they're really good
Awesome.
guys.
So Don, thanks a lot. If you want to promote your company a bit, you may now for like 20 seconds if you want. Let the
Well-
guys know where you based and stuff.
Okay, no, well, obviously Trident Sports been around for 8 years now. We based in Pretoria. You can just go check out our Instagram page at Trident Sports, and I don't really care much about Facebook and all of that,
Okay.
but you guys are welcome to check that out as well as the website.
Thanks, Don. Great
Thank you very much,
podcast.
Ronaldo.
Thanks for joining us.
No, it's a pleasure.
Over and out.